Hey, wrestling fans, welcome to the One Wing Wrestling Podcast, where we help you navigate the complex world of pro wrestling, bringing you the best matches, world class wrestlers, and news you can count on. At One Wing Wrestling, we bring the elite to you. I'm your host, Krishna and join me, as always, is Mr. Bill Cutbush. Bill, how's it going?
Oh, it's going pretty well right now because I just finished listening to Battle Cry. Why did I listen to Battle Cry, you might ask?
Why did you listen to Battle Cry?
Oh, I will tell you why. Well, you see, just before I was doing that, I was just, polishing off my notes, getting ready for the podcast, and my wife sends me this. It's a link to a Facebook video that says, "I'm obsessed with this song, Vaibhav Dixit from India."
You
And
know what?
so,
I
okay,
got a message from her as well, and it looked like it was a Facebook
it's
post.
probably the same song.
It looks like it's the same one. Yeah.
Yeah, she probably just like spammed it to everybody, and it's just two dudes dancing in the street to a song that sounds like every other Bollywood song. So then I sent her back one that said, "Interesting. I'm obsessed with this song." And I sent her Battle Cry
Mhm.
because, clearly the better song of the two.
Agreed. Agreed. Battle
Yep.
Cry is awesome.
Yep. I also finished Mox on the weekend.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it was an excellent book, excellent book.
Nice.
Um, he's a very interesting character. His book is a lot like his mind, I think. You know how the
Mm.
Young Books is very linear and it's
They tell their story.
tells the story. This one bounces all over Hell's Half Acre. It's like watching The Witcher season one.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes, but it's cool that way, right? Like, and yeah, he does not pull punches on WWE at all. Like, I cannot see the man. Okay, never say never in wrestling, but man,
Yep,
he did not enjoy working there at all. I
yep.
mean, I've heard the interviews and stuff before, but the book was a nice reminder about how much he truly, truly
Hates.
disliked the end of his. I mean, he loved being in the Shield, loved it, right? He
Yeah,
loved working with Seth Rollins, he loved working with Roman Reigns, and after that, he went into that black hole of creative garbage and he was just like depressed and angry. And yeah, it was something else. But you learn an awful lot about the rest of his career
mm,
too, right? And the kind of stuff he got into. And yeah, it's a really good read. I would highly recommend this book to anybody who wants to know anything about Mr. John Moxley. He also gives marital advice in the book, but I can't say I agree with all of it.
honestly.
But that's okay. Yeah, other than that, we also saw Tony Khan's Jacksonville Jaguars
Mhm.
lose, unfortunately, to the
Lose.
Kansas City Chiefs on the weekend.
Yeah, it's they're a good team. Obviously I was cheering for them because of Tony Khan, but yeah, they went up against the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're like a juggernaut, right? So I mean, hey, I didn't even know the Jags were actually in the playoffs until they were facing off against Kansas City. So that kind of shocked me. But yeah, you know what? It was fun, I guess, when it lasted. So
Yep. Well, hey, and you witnessed the first hockey game that I watched this year,
that's right.
right?
Watching the Leafs lose as
Toronto Maple
usual.
Leafs versus the Montreal Canadiens, reminding me why I stopped
They
watching Leaf
lost.
games. Because once again, they blow a lead against one of the worst teams in the league and then lose in overtime.
The number three team losing against the number 23 team, 23rd team, I should say. Yeah,
Thanks
exactly.
for putting it in perspective. I would have had no idea about where exactly they were in the
Yep.
standings. I just knew Montreal was having a bad season and Toronto is apparently doing really well,
Number three in
like
the
it's going to matter
NHL.
when the playoffs hit. So,
It's craziness.
yep. Anyway, how was your weekend beyond those two sports games?
Um, Not bad, not bad. Again, yes, just just we celebrated my grandmother's birthday. Um, and that was pretty much it. Yesterday I came back home. Didn't do much. And yeah, then all I could think about was work, unfortunately. And I was like, I have to do this, this, and this. Like I have a list of things I had to do. And I said, hey, yesterday I was gonna try to do some stuff, and I didn't obviously do anything because it's Sunday and I didn't do anything. And then yeah, today was just an absolute mess. So yeah, no, I was listening to some stuff as I was working, just listening to like a couple podcasts and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it was just a normal weekend, I guess.
Cool, cool. Well, you know what'll take your mind off all that work stuff, right?
What is that?
Some professional wrestling.
That's true. That is very true.
Professional wrestling solves everything.
That's very, very true.
So what we do here on our Monday, One Wing Wrestling Weekly, as we call it, we're going to look at some of the news stories. We're going to talk about what happened in AEW this week. We're going to talk about what's going on in Japan, and we do this because we know there's a lot of wrestling out there. You don't have time to watch a bazillion hours of wrestling a week, and we don't have time to watch a bazillion, but we can watch quite a bit. And we're trying to bring you the best matches that we can find out of that and point you towards them. So if you want to go spend some quality time watching professional wrestling, you can find some decent matches, and you'll also kind of know what's going on in the world of wrestling too. So outside of the WWE, and sometimes very rarely inside the WWE.
Sometimes.
Yeah, but there's enough WWE coverage out there, so we'll help you figure out the rest of the wrestling world. Yeah, we got a big Smash show coming up this coming weekend.
Yeah, it should be good. It should be it's this Saturday. Not 100% sure what the card is looking like, because originally the Motor City Machine Guns are supposed to be there.
Yeah,
They
they're
had
too
to,
busy defending 2 sets of
yeah,
tag belts, I think.
they're a bit busy
So,
right now, so they can't
yes.
show up. But yeah, I'm interested to see what the card's going to be like. So excited to watch that. Yeah, this Saturday actually.
Yep. Well, I mean, we're getting some good stuff, right? We're getting the AAA stars Drago and Aerostar
That's
facing
right.
Tabernacle the Team, Charles Crowley versus Mike Rollins 2. We're getting to see Jake something again, Kevin Bennett, Carter Mason. Looks like it's going to be a really good show. So looking forward to it, and we will have a report on that afterwards. So that's coming up. Also coming up, of course, we got AEW Dynamite, our usual review this coming Wednesday.
Mhm.
And as always, if you enjoy what you're listening to, we would really appreciate that 5-star review on whatever podcast app you happen to be listening to us on. Write us a little review. And look, even if you hate us, write us a little review anyway. We'd like to know what you think we could do better. Go for it. It's fine. If you're on YouTube, give us the like, give us the subscribe. You never know. More content.
That's
That's a
true.
better thing. So anyway, shall we get into the news, Krishna?
Let's jump into the news.
Okay. Well, first, we do have an update on Jay Briscoe, specifically around his family, because as we knew, his daughters were both hospitalized in serious condition after
Mhm.
the unfortunate crash last week. Meltzer has since reported that Gracie, Jay's older daughter, has feeling again in her lower body. Both are still in the hospital, but are recovering. So that's at least some good news on that front. Yeah, you heard about that too, Krishna?
Yeah, no, I did. I heard about it. Apparently, a family friend, close to the family,
Mhm.
posted like an update recently saying that I believe uh Gracie was the one that was who didn't have feeling from
Yes,
her waist
Gracie.
down. Yeah, she started getting feeling back slowly. And I think
Mhm.
right now she's on, like she's off the IV and she's
Mhm.
actually on pain meds, which is unfortunately it's a child we're talking about here. And she is in a wheelchair, but she's able to move around in the wheelchair right now. So that's again, this is like great recovery news for the family and the other daughter as well. She's doing better. Um,
Mhm.
but still on like IV and stuff like that. That's the last I heard about
Right.
them.
Yep. And we are going to get a tribute show on the Ring
Hmm.
of Honor app.
Yeah,
And they are going to make it free.
free. Yes,
Yep.
I did hear
So
that too.
that's a really good thing. It's unfortunate that they couldn't put it on the main television,
Hmm.
over well, let's see. Over what essentially was a 2011 and 2013 tweets that he had where he expressed some negative opinions towards homosexuals.
Yep.
And since that, though, he apologized almost immediately after the 2013 tweet. And I mean, essentially, the story goes kind of like this. And I think that it's very unfortunate that Jay Briscoe and his brother were never ever allowed on AEW television,
Hmm.
given the lengths that they went to post 2 tweets to fix things, right? He apologized. He said, I feel very strongly about who should teach kids about certain things, and I showed poor judgment. That's what he
Hmm.
said when it first happened. Later, he said that the comments were meant to reflect the worldview of Jay Briscoe, the redneck character he played, and not the views of him as a real person. But then, he donated pay for his next
Hmm.
2 shows to Partners Against Hate charitable organization. Person after person who encountered him said that he learned from the incident and actually became a strong proponent for tolerance for the LGBTQ plus community. Um, But when AEW was formed in 2019, Time Warner they wouldn't allow the
Yeah.
Briscoes on television due
Yeah.
to the tweets, even with the apologies and
Yeah.
even with numerous people vouching for them.
Yeah.
This past year, there were many attempts to get them on the show. They were flown in a few times to television, but they weren't used. Interestingly, a year ago, Ian Riccaboni wrote about how the Briscoes would come to him with questions since they knew he was a sex educator at
Mhm.
NYU when he was a student there. And he said, their genuine curiosity and willingness to listen and learn was pretty cool. And he went on in length about,
Yeah.
length about, his interactions with them and that kind of thing. Even like I just said, even after his death, TBS wouldn't even
Mhm.
allow a tribute show.
Mhm.
Carrie Silken, for example, the former ROH owner, said, "I'm gay. I've spoken to them about it a number of years later." And he told me, "I don't know what the hell I was saying."
Yeah.
And Carrie Silken said, "I'm not going to hold a grudge against them. I've said stupid things too. We've
Yep.
all said stupid things."
Yeah.
And Effie, an openly gay wrestler who is one of the stars of Game Changer Wrestling, said, "Jay
Mhm.
Briscoe showed me respect and love when everybody told me he wouldn't. If you knew Jay, you knew he would uplift everyone in that locker room, regardless of whatever world they came to wrestling from. He was
Yep.
the best."
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
it's, oh,
Sorry,
go
go ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and that's it, right? Like, I mean, like if you look at the timeline, so apparently he said, 2013, he tweets out several, tweets about gay marriage, and I'm not gonna sit here and make excuses, right? Because hey, you know what? At the time, you're talking about guys who grew up on a farm, basically. Yeah, yeah, these characters, these redneck characters they played, unfortunately, that was their upbringing. They didn't know better. And I'm not making an excuse for it, right? What he did was wrong. But immediately he fessed up to it. People will say, well, but before that, they were like when they were heels, they were like ripping up gay flags and all this other stuff, right? And you're like, okay, but now were they told to do that? Like, was that part of their characters? Now, again, this was back in 2009, 2000, around that this area. So, these were tweets, these were actions they were doing, and we have to remember that Jay Briscoe was the one that tweeted this. Mark never tweeted anything, right?
Mhm.
But right away, Mark was also deemed an offender just
Right.
by association, right? So remember, Mark Briscoe has not done any of these things. There's
Well,
one
don't
thing I
we live
want
in a culture where we sent people to jail? Like, if you commit a crime, your brother's going to jail with you, right?
You may, I guess so. I get well, according to what I've been reviewing, and I've done some research in terms of like what exactly happened here. And you're right.
Hmm.
Immediately, Ring of Honor donate like they when those tweets went out, Ring of Honor came out. They distanced themselves from Briscoe, saying they do not want to be associated with this. They donated his paychecks to those charities, obviously. Jay went out. He immediately came out and said he didn't know. He actually, as you said, he came out. He apologized. You have Ian Riccaboni is coming out and saying all the stuff. Even recently, March 16th, I think is it this year or last year? But they were on a podcast at Fightful, right? Battleground podcast, and he said that well, it says that they claim that the tweets were like a misunderstanding of their own religion, right? And
Hmm.
he says, I put out a stupid tweet 9 years ago, the most dumbest, immature, obnoxious shit I've ever done. I don't want anyone from any walk of life to feel like they can't care for the Briscoes because I promise we love everybody. We love everybody and we just want to go out there and be pro wrestlers and give the best matches we can. I said some dumb shit a long time ago. I apologize for it and I'll apologize for it again. It was stupid. I feel like now there are people who look at us like we can't cheer for them because they hate a certain group of people. We don't hate anybody. We love everybody. We're just some country boys. I thought I was taking a stand for the Lord back in my day, right? So this is
Hmm.
what he's saying. So Mark jumps in and says, you realized from that immaturity that that's not what we were doing because if anything, God and the Lord, he has love above anything. That card trumps anything else. What you thought you were doing, taking a stand for the Lord, was counterproductive to the kingdom of God. Now remember, these guys are really to their religion,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
Not only to being a human being and relating with other humans that we live with and love. And then Jay ends it with, I feel like people label us a certain way. Trust me, we are not like that. And again, he denounces everything he's done. Like, what more do people want? right? This is where like things get a little muddied, right? So yeah, you know what? Some people will hate them forever. Fortunately, you can't change people's minds, and I'm not going to tell people what to think. Right? It is what it is. I can only give them what the facts. Like this guy's come out multiple
Yeah.
times. What I have a problem with is Warner Brothers right now, right? Warner Brothers
Yeah.
Discovery, I should say. I kind of feel like they're picking and choosing when they and who they make these decisions on, right? Briscoe's 2013. Jay Briscoe does this. Again,
Yeah.
Mark didn't do anything, right? But
Exactly.
both of them are basically just branded as you do not touch, right? However, oddly, there was a show. If we watched Dynamite last week, they advertised a show. It was called Power Slap League. Now,
Yeah.
Power Slap League is a Dana White show. No,
Yep.
we all know Dana White from
Mm-hmm.
UFC fame. Um, oddly, or I shouldn't say oddly, ironically, Dana White is promoting this Power Slap League where the show is basically people just slapping each other in the face trying to knock each other out. You know, and just what a couple months ago, Dana White, there was a video of him slapping his wife. Now, I'm not gonna. I don't know what happened. Like, there's just a video that came out. He said it was wrong what he did, but it clearly showed him slapping his wife. Right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's and Warner Brothers has no issue with that. This show is just on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's people like James Gunn, and I love James Gunn. I think he's such a great director. Now, what James Gunn did, I'm not going to say it's as bad as what Jay did, or I'm not going to say that it's worse or even better. I'm not saying that. I'm just going to tell you what happened. James Gunn in 2009 made jokes about homosexuality and rape. Right? He joked
Mm-hmm.
about this on Twitter. Those tweets came. I think they were found. Like they came back up. Obviously, I think in 2000. I want to say 18. And Disney fired him because he was about to make Guardians of the Galaxy 3,
Mm-hmm.
and they fired him. Oddly, a couple weeks, I want to say a couple weeks, maybe a month later, James Gunn was rehired because he did apologize for what he did. Right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
people make mistakes. We're all human. That's
100%.
the term. We're all human. We make mistakes. He said he made a mistake. The tweets he made, he even though it was a joke, he understands how offensive it actually was, right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
similar to what Jay was saying, just pointing that out there.
Right.
um However, James Gunn, again, I mentioned Disney, but I'm going to get to Warner Brothers Discovery. James Gunn is now the head of DC Studios under Warner Brothers Discovery.
Yes.
So they have no problem with that, but
Mm-hmm.
they literally blocked these guys from making a living. You know, continue. This affected their career.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're okay, but they affected their career. And literally, like no one would hire them. They weren't allowed to work for WB Warner Brothers Discovery. Yet these other people were allowed to do so. And on top of that, listen. I get it. You make a decision. You're not going to hire them, but not allow them to have a tribute show. I
Mm-hmm.
think that was what really bothered me at the end of it, right? It's like,
Yep.
come on, Warner Brothers. And apparently it bothered a lot of people online as well, because Twitter blew up about this when they found out that, you know, the show was actually blocked because of Warner Brothers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just, you know, it's such a sad ending to the story, because
Yeah.
like, you know, this week while I was watching wrestling, I started watching a few Briscoe matches, and man, like I'm being really selfish here. We lost out on such a talented duo, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
these guys, what they could have done on these like bigger wrestling promotions, like we're never gonna see it. Like we're never gonna see it because
Yep.
unfortunately we lost Jay Briscoe, who fantastic talent. Holy
Mm-hmm.
crap. And I implore anyone who wants to just do some research or just go watch them match. Just look them up. Look up the Briscoes. Like they're on YouTube and everything.
Yep.
Look up some of their matches. They are pretty impressive.
Yep.
So yeah, you know, a sad end to such a you know, crazy story. And yeah, I'm gonna end it with like I'm upset with what Warner Brothers did, and selfishly, I'm upset that I'm never gonna see the Briscoes wrestle in AEW. So
Yeah. And by all rights, we should have seen the
we
Briscoes
should have
wrestle in AEW.
100%,
I mean,
100%.
it's the fact that they put that slap
Mhm.
fighting
right at
crap right
during,
after
yeah,
and
and
okay,
they
let me take
mentioned
that
it
back. I'm
during the
not going to
show.
make any
Yeah,
judgments on it. Maybe
yeah,
some people out there like slap fighting, I don't know, but the fact was, it's not just Dana White's show.
yeah,
He was all over the show.
yeah.
They didn't edit him out of it. Like
Nope.
UFC at least edited Dana White out of their promotional
Hmm.
footage for their next event. This thing did none of that.
Nope.
Right? It was like it was like, it's so funny. They go off the air with the Jay Briscoe thing, and then the very next thing you see, if you're watching that channel, apparently, was Dana White introducing slap fighting. Good job, Warner Brothers. Good job, TBS. Good job all around, people. And the hypocrisy you highlighted, that highlights a couple problems to me. That highlights, one, how much there is so much hypocrisy
Yep.
in these kinds of grandstandings by corporations, because we all know when it comes to corporations, I don't care what corporation is,
Money.
nothing matters more than the
Hmm.
profits.
Yep.
Anything they do where they talk about, unless they put their money where their mouth is,
Hmm.
unless they're decisions that they make when they stand to lose a lot of money because of their decision, to
Yep.
stand on their moral ground. I'm sure there are companies out there like that, but the vast majority of corporations do not behave in this way. If it
Yep.
comes down to cash for the shareholders or a
That's it.
moral decision, they will almost always pick cash for the shareholders, which Warner Brothers does consistently. James Gunn, cash for the shareholders.
Hmm.
Jay Briscoe, nobody cares, because
Yep.
once again, we're also talking about wrestling fans.
Hmm.
And they know, yeah, sure, wrestling fans will get kind of angry, but no one listens to wrestling fans because nobody takes professional wrestling seriously outside of professional wrestling fans.
Fans. Yeah.
Right? I mean, look, I dealt with it again the other night. Sit down, turn on some New Japan while I was sitting there. And the guy asked me, "Hey, this stuff is fake, right?" No,
Really?
get out of
Really?
town, dude. I had no clue wrestling was fake. You've just ruined it for me for life. It's like,
Yeah.
and why is that always the first comment? Why? But sorry, I've gone down a tangent.
I
But
think we need to change the script a bit in terms of like when people say wrestling is fake, we should start correcting them. We're like, no, actually, it's not fake. It's scripted,
that's
but
what I
it's not
said.
fake. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not fake.
Mm-hmm.
Because these athletes, you can make fun of them, whatever you want. They get hurt,
Well,
right?
a guy took a suplex on the floor, and I say to him, I'm like, okay, seriously, how do you fake not getting hurt from
Yeah,
that? And he goes,
yeah,
well, they know how to land. I'm like, he landed on his back. I don't
yeah.
like, you go do that and see how you landing exactly the same way as him, and see how it feels.
So do like Olympic athletes. They know how to react to certain movements.
Mhm.
Is it fake when they do it?
Yeah,
I don't think
exactly.
so, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, that's just it, right? There's just a general disrespect
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
wrestling fans,
Yeah.
because it's like, you guys watch a bunch of stuff that's fake, but you pretend it's real, and that's just dumb. When really what we're watching is story. I said to him, "Did you know all of the drama shows you watch are
Same thing.
fake?"
Yeah, the same
Because it's
thing.
the same thing. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's like we're watching scripted
It's
drama.
like a soap opera. That's all it is,
Yeah,
right? So
kind of,
yeah.
or I would prefer to say it's more like CSI or something like that.
Sure,
But
if you want
it's,
to.
yeah, exactly. It's not soap operas. The
It's a
hell, I'm
soap
not
opera
watching
for
As the
men
World
and
Turns.
women.
That was Attitude Era WWE, man. But anyway, yeah, no. But my point, to bring it back to the whole thing about Jay Briscoe and Warner Brothers, is that I think Warner Brothers feels like they can get away with it with this. Hey, look at us grandstanding. We're not letting this person who has
Yeah.
hate towards the LGBTQ plus community on television. Aren't we wonderful? Because they know the only people who are going to get mad at that are wrestling fans.
Yeah.
Everyone else will just see them throwing up their moral flag, right? And in
Yeah.
this case, it is absolutely and utterly moral grandstanding.
Yeah. And to end it, it's like everyone, Jay Briscoe did not have hate towards the LGBTQ community. He was just uneducated in it.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. Like he
Yeah.
believed that what he was being taught was what he needed to follow. Like again, I don't blame him for this because this is the way he was brought up, but he learned from it. If he had
Yep.
continued this, I'd be like, yeah, you know what? Screw this. Like he doesn't deserve. No.
Yep.
Like he fixed himself by
And
himself with help. So yeah.
exactly. And the fact that we had members of the LGBTQ community
Coming
come
out
forward
supporting
and
him.
say,
Yeah.
he's a great guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that should have been the end of the story.
Yeah.
But
Not
anyway,
much more to say on this. Yeah.
no. But I mean, what we did learn, though, is that Jay Briscoe is a man who was willing to take responsibility for his bad actions, which was something that I found very interesting in the sessions when Renee Paquette interviewed Will Ospreay recently on the sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And she was asking him, among other things, and we can start with this.
Mm-hmm.
I assume you've also heard
Yeah.
the podcast at this point,
Yep.
where he was talking about his responsibility and how he was such a dick on Twitter constantly. And he's
Yep.
like, because he was talking about his ADHD, right?
Yeah.
Which he was diagnosed with finally in 2019, but he said he could tell through his life that it really affected him.
Mm-hmm.
But he says, I am not going to make excuses or use it as an excuse for my behavior.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
He said, I made this. And look, I've apologized. I've told people that I'm sorry. He goes, I've gone out of my way to, do amends with people and stuff like that. Right. And there again, we have an example of a guy who knows he made some mistakes on Twitter. And like he said now, no one cares about my opinion on anything anyway, right? So he's like, why am I even bothering to tweet?
Yeah.
So I mean, you can tell he's gone through a real maturing process, taken responsibility for some things. Don't forget, he's still in his 20s, isn't he? Like,
yes, he
like
is.
late 20s. So we're talking about tweets he put out when he was in like his mid to early 20s. And, I think that, especially a man with, he might not use the excuse, but I'll use it for him, ADHD, where the reaction times are just instant to things in a lot of cases, right? So, he made some mistakes. He took responsibility. What did you think?
So to start off with that point, again, if anyone sits there and says, "Oh, I would never have made a mistake like that," it's like, really? When you were younger, you never made a mistake. So if someone was making fun of you and calling you wouldn't have said anything back. You would just taken that because you're such a great person and not done anything. If you're saying that, you're such a liar. You're such a liar. So yeah, the fact that he's able to come out and say, "Hey, you know what? I reacted to things," right? I would see something, I'd react to it. And he's like, the best thing for him to do is stay off Twitter. And he saw he was making mistakes and he stopped. Again, 29 years old. He's such a young kid still, right? Like, and the fact that he's able to mature so much that he understands he has a learning disability and he mentions that, he's like, I'm not smart in school, or I was never smart in school or anything like that. But when I'm in the ring and when I'm planning these things, it just comes together. And I appreciated that, right? Because he knows what he's good at, he knows what he's not good at. He's not going to sit there and try to be something he's not. And I respected that. Like, I really did like this interview with Renee on these things. So I agree right off the bat, like able to take responsibility and cut some of that BS out, because he knew he was making mistakes, right?
Yep. It showed a lot of maturity, and I really appreciated like listening to his own honesty to him. It's just so much honesty. I was saying, like, he's dyslexic as fuck, he said, right? And like, and he admits he has trouble reading stuff, right?
Yeah.
He has ADHD, he has trouble paying attention. It screwed him up in school. He was good at phys ed. He was good, and he was good in drama class, but like, which of course, drama class, professional wrestler, they go well together.
Makes sense.
Yep, exactly. Phys ed and drama, the two things you need as a professional wrestler. And the rest of it he failed at, right? Which also explains, like, it really made me think about Kenny Omega's comment to him about, you don't even know the language. Of course he doesn't know the language. It is likely unfair to ever expect him to know the language, right? And and he said, I've tried, but it's not gonna happen. Like, he said that in his press conference, right? Like, it's just not gonna happen. But I mean, there was some other stuff in this interview as well that I found very interesting. I thought, talking about how hard the pandemic really was on the guys in New Japan, and the time you would have to spend in those tiny box hotel rooms, like quarantined and stuff, and just going down to get his food, and people were yelling at him.
Yeah. And that's it, right? Like, he makes mention of the fact that he is trying to, and he says he didn't have it as worse as some of the guys there, right? And he said there would be like 12-hour flights and all these things where it's back and forth, and like no one could clap because the government put the lockdown on that, and no one can cheer. Sorry, he said it was one of the weirdest things he's ever experienced, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and they had to go through that from the beginning of the pandemic till January, this past
Mm-hmm.
January, right?
Yeah.
So like when you think about it, like yeah, you watch what AEW did, you watch what WWE did when they did
Mm-hmm.
those like can't like those TVs all around the place.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried to get the fan, even when they're trying to pump in fan noise stuff like that, it was kind of weird. But imagine not having that
Mm-hmm.
and wrestling like that, right?
Yeah.
It would be really weird for people, for guys like him who are used to having those just crowds. Not,
Yeah.
I'm not even saying large crowds, just the crowds, right?
Mm-hmm.
It really even he said it changes the match, it changes
Yep.
everything.
Well, yeah, and he was talking about like the lack of adrenaline going
Mm,
out, and like when he was going out for the Wrestle Kingdom main event in 2021, he's like, I don't feel
I
anything.
feel nothing. Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel
exactly.
nothing.
Yeah, yeah, it was kind of crazy. But he also mentioned, and here's some interesting
Hmm.
stuff. He mentioned a few guys that he would like to wrestle,
Hmm.
and three of them are currently signed with AEW, coincidentally.
Yep.
The only one that wasn't is the one, of course, that Renee brought up herself, which was Seth Rollins, due to his
That didn't
Twitter
work.
war with him years ago. But here's the three AEW names that he
All
said he
right.
would like to wrestle: Bryan Danielson,
Hmm.
Jungle Boy, and
Hmm.
Miro.
Okay, so okay, I'm gonna get the worst one out first. So Miro, I don't care. Like Will Ospreay will carry that match. Like maybe he wants to wrestle the Miro that was, really getting pushed earlier when ever since he hit AEW. I don't know what's happened. I don't see it anymore,
Mhm.
right? Um, that would be so I would watch that match obviously just for Ospreay.
Yep.
But the other two matches now, you know me, I love Jungle Boy. I think he's so awesome. And
Oh yeah, he is awesome.
man, man, Jungle Boy versus versus Osprey, that would be that's like that would be like the Orange Cassidy versus Osprey match just stole the show at Wrestle Kingdom. That one right away I'd be like, you know what,
You
this
mean
probably,
Forbidden Door?
sorry, Forbidden Door, yes, yes, yes. I'd be like, yeah, if this was on the Forbidden Door 2 or whatever you want to call it, I'd
Hmm.
be like, yeah, this potentially could steal the show, right? Just
Right.
because of these two guys. And oh my, I don't know, man. Brian Danielson versus
Oh my
Will
god.
Ospreay, knowing how hard Danielson can hit and knowing how well that Ospreay can sell, it would be like the Danielson versus Omega match again, right? Where the fans
Hmm.
were on their feet before the match even even
Oh yeah,
began,
yeah. No,
right?
this would just be outstanding. This would be borderline, almost I think as epic as Osprey and Omega.
Yeah. So I say yay to two out of the three of those.
Hmm.
And can you imagine Tyler Black versus Will Ospreay?
I
Seth
know.
Rollins. Listen, I give credit where credit's due, and Seth Rollins is pretty awesome,
Yeah.
right? Because he's so like clean. Even though when he first started, he would injure a lot of people, but he's gotten so much better. He's so clean at what he does.
Hmm.
Um, so he, please, I mean, Osprey, I want you in AEW, but we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, those are some pretty awesome matches.
Yeah, you can just hook up the IV of Osprey Danielson straight to my veins and just start pumping it in now. Because
So
oh my god,
it
I
would be
like that
awesome.
would be I'd be up for that match almost as much as I was up for Osprey Omega. Seriously, just like give me that match. I also found it interesting though. He said his favorite opponent was Shingo Takagi.
Yeah, yes, he did.
Hmm.
Like when she asked him who's been your favorite opponent. Now, now, let's be real
Hmm.
here, okay? Now, I do feel like Will was clearly honest throughout the entirety of this podcast because you know why?
Hmm.
You remember how I was saying that sometimes he looks like he's kayfabing it, and
Hmm.
I can't tell if it's a kayfabe or not. This one, he was just giving some like simple answer. I'm like, this guy's being real, right?
Hmm.
But this is the one part where I was like, are you saying that because it is Ashley Shingo? Are you saying that because you want to rub Omega, right? And I don't know. I can't tell. But now the Shingo match was a good match. That was was a very good match, right? So he's probably telling the truth, but part of me doesn't want to believe it because of the Omega and Osprey match because it's the best match we've seen
Well, the
in a long
match he's
time.
referring to especially was the one done back previously in 2021, I
Oh,
believe,
I
the
thought it
one
was
where he got
wasn't it a recent
injured.
one?
No, no, you're thinking of Naito.
Oh, okay, wrong person then. Wrong
Yep.
person.
No, this is Shingo Takagi, who
Oh,
was
okay.
facing El Desperado over the summer in the Who's Your Daddy match. I'm
Oh
sorry, El
yeah.
Phantasmo in
Oh
the Who's Your
yes.
Daddy
Oh
match.
yes.
Yeah, it's Shingo Takagi. Very good wrestler.
Who's your daddy
Okay. He
match?
may not quite be your style of wrestler,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he's
yeah,
a
yeah.
very good wrestler.
Got it.
And
Got it.
Ospreay was making the comment that it was like the match where Ospreay ended up getting injured, right? When he did
Yes. Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna shooting star press.
Yeah.
And it went a little far. And he said I looked like a scorpion or something like
Yeah. Yeah.
that. Yeah, he got injured in that match, but he was talking about how the two of them had to go out and work this like 40-minute match
Hmm.
to a dead crowd. And
Yeah.
like it just impressed him how well Takagi worked with him
Because he
during
said
that.
the match didn't stop, right? He said it
Mhm,
was just so fast and it
mhm.
went back and forth. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he really, so I honestly think he's being honest,
Mhm.
right? Because I think that the one thing Omega's never done with Osprey, he's only wrestled Osprey or Omega twice, right?
Yes.
And he certainly never wrestled that kind of a match where your
No.
real skills as a pro wrestler are forced to come out that way, right? Like, I'm sure he would rank his match with Omega pretty high if you asked him. But I think it's very interesting, though, that he chose like a match where it really
Hmm.
was all about testing your skill as a wrestler in really difficult conditions. So it wouldn't surprise me if that actually
Actually is.
was,
Yeah.
him being honest. Um, he also noted, considering the bidding war of 2024 will be coming up in the end when we have both Omega and Osprey with expired
I
contracts.
know.
Um, but he did mention the one thing that he's a New Japan guy, right? He loves it because he gets the freedom to fly home and spend time with his family, which is very important to him. He gets creative freedom, and he doubts he can cut a promo without using the C word. So it may be tough for him to cut promos in North America. Which, yeah, I mean, Renee did mention though there is a
Hmm.
particular promotion in
Hmm.
North America that does have a working
Yep.
relationship with New
New
Japan.
Japan. Yep.
So, and I found it interesting. She mentioned the money. He goes, I make enough money. He was just like, money's great, but I make good money.
Yes, listen, throughout this entire interview he was so positive about New Japan because he's like, this is where I started. He as he said, he believes New Japan is the best wrestling. I
Mm-hmm.
can't disagree with him, right? Because they have good wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
um but it, like, as I was listening to the podcast, and she didn't make those kind of like, yeah, there is another company in North America that
Mm-hmm.
has a working relationship with New Japan, and they can fly back and forth and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
um he did start saying, he has to figure out what's next for him,
Yes.
right? Because he does feel like he's been with New Japan for a while now, and
Mm-hmm.
is that where he wants to continue? And when I heard that, I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, Will Ospreay come to AEW. But it does give you hope, right? It does give you
Mm.
the kind of like, I would love to see Will Ospreay in North America. I think he would blow up in North America. He's already blown up around the world. But the problem is Will Ospreay is not a household name in, well, if you're a wrestling fan, kind of. But I bet you ask WWE fans who Will Ospreay is. Well, like I did. I said, hey, remember the name Will Ospreay? And the response I got was, is that someone new? Are they an up and comer? And I was like, oh my god, right? So it's one of those things like, yes, his name is out there, but just not that much in North America to, like, I guess
Right.
the other, like, a lot of fans, right? Like, we know him obviously you used to watch him in New Japan and stuff like that, and obviously when he came through that forbidden door, my god, right? Like, it was amazing. But I have my hopes up. I really do. I feel like, yeah, who cares about the bidding war 2024 for MJF? Please go. Please. We need to make room for other people, right?
Exactly.
So
Can we
yeah,
just
no, it's
trade,
insane.
MJF for Will Ospreay? That would
The
be fine.
New Japan wouldn't take him. But yeah, sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, that's. But here's the thing. I don't really
Mhm.
care where he ends up. I love New Japan.
Yeah.
I love Will Ospreay in New Japan with the United Empire. It's
Hmm.
pretty great stuff. He's got a
Hmm.
lot of great opponents that he can fight in New Japan. If he came to AEW, also happy. Lots of opponents for him to fight here.
Yep.
I can watch Will Ospreay wherever he goes.
That's
I'm
fair.
totally fine with that. So, if he stays in AEW, if he stays in New Japan, that's great. If he comes to AEW, that is also okay. But there's some other stuff that happened in New Japan too this week that
Mm-hmm.
we thought we should discuss. Normally, I'd be given the New Japan report in my excursion, but this week it's a little on the important side because there's some news that came out of it. Wrestle Kingdom 17 in Yokohama was held on the weekend, I believe. And in the match, there was a multi-man match where Kazuchika Okada and Kaito Kiyomiya from Noah got into it during a because the entire Wrestle Kingdom setup for Wrestle Kingdom 17 was New Japan versus Noah.
Mm-hmm.
And Kiyomiya got into it with Okada. I mean, sure, a lot of you have seen the video already. It was all over social media. During a multi-man match, Okada had his opponent in a submission, and Kiyomiya came out to break it up. Kicked him a couple times in the back. Then when Okada finally turned around, he kicked him right in
The
the
head.
face.
Yeah.
And Okada went ballistic. He took out Kiyomiya, and the two fought on the outside. The match was thrown out. Okada was in a rage in the back. I mean, just raging. I've never seen him so mad.
Mm-hmm.
His forehead cut open from the
Mm-hmm.
kick. And then later backstage, Kiyomiya issued a challenge to Okada. Um, Meltzer reported on Wrestling Observer Radio that this is 100% a work.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, as I thought.
100% a work. Yep. It's actually based on a real issue that happened between two New Japan stars many, many years ago, like something that where that really happened.
Mm-hmm.
So it sets it up to make it look really real, but it's based on that incident, he said.
Yeah.
He's likely right because it does set up a match between the two on February 21st with a ton of heat behind it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it was a very interesting thing. I mean, it's not too often New Japan catches that much attention
Mm-hmm.
out of an angle that involves two wrestlers that most of the people, again, the WWE fans, the casual wrestling fans, have never heard of
Yeah.
before. If they have heard the name Okada, they certainly haven't heard of Kiyomiya.
Yeah, no, definitely. I didn't hear this about the second name either. I just I woke up that morning and I had just looked on Twitter and I saw Okada trending and I was like, why is Okada trending? And I clicked
Mm-hmm.
on it and immediately the video was there. And I watched it and I said, okay, so here's Okada, he's getting hit. And when he gets kicked in the face, I was like, did that connect? Was that supposed to happen? And then
Mm-hmm.
the brawl starts and he kind of like he beats him up and he goes to like throw him against the barriers, but then he picks him up and he throws him on like kind of just throws him onto the desk, the table in front. And then they both just continue fighting. And as Okada's walking out to the back room, he's bloodied and stuff like that, and he pushes the camera away. I'm like, if this is a work, it's a pretty good work. I
Oh
like it, right?
yeah.
Because it looks real. It really does look real. Because it was the fight just looked like these two guys just punching and kicking, and
Mm-hmm.
it looked like a fight. Like they're throwing themselves at each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking throwing themselves like a Darby Allin throwing himself because that's
Mm-hmm.
calculated, right? This just looked like two guys just like pissed off, wanted to brawl. And yeah, it's raised, some eyebrows. People want to now watch this match because they want to see what's gonna
Mm-hmm.
happen. Good play, New Japan. Good, like I'm impressed. Like I
Yep.
saw it and I was like, what the hell is going on right now?
Yeah, and think about too who's really benefiting from this, right? I mean, Kiyomiya, it was
Mhm,
essentially an unknown champion that wasn't really over at all.
mhm. And
And
now,
given this is a work, look what Okada's done for him.
yeah, yeah.
Like just insane level of like helping this guy out, right? I mean, ultimately, people really care about this. And I mean, this
Mhm.
match will now be the second to last match on the Last Love show from the Tokyo Dome, which is actually a joint card with wrestlers from New Japan, Noah, Dragon Gate, DDT, All Japan, and Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling.
Okay.
And there's Tetsuya Naito will be facing Keiji Muto in the main event for what is being billed as his last match, right?
Okay.
But the second main event is going to be Okada versus Kiyomiya.
Nice. Spilled it up.
Yes. We're also getting the Tokyo Joshi Pro match with Miyo Yamashita, Yuka Sakazaki, Rika Tatsumi, and Shoko Nakajima, excuse
Hmm.
my pronunciation there, versus Mizuki, Mio Watanabe, Maki Ito, and Yuki Arai. So they are actually putting this large, and I'm sure they're going to get about, if they go with the way that New Japan books women's matches, they're getting 5 minutes for all 8 of those women together in a ring.
Probably.
I am still bitter over Tam Nakano getting 5 minutes at Wrestle Kingdom. I will be bitter about that for a long time. Anyway, so yeah, that's what we got out of Kazuchika Okada and Kiyomiya.
Nice.
So that concludes our news. Do you have anything else for us on that?
No, that
Okay.
was pretty much it.
Do you have a
Yeah.
dirt sheet for us this week?
No, I don't. I don't. I a lot of the
Oh no,
stuff that
that's
I was
completely
looking at.
fine.
I know.
I
I
mean, we had a
don't.
lot to talk about today, so
I
it's
know.
not surprising. So that does bring us then to the AEW Roundup.
Cool. So let's see what happened in AEW this week. So if you want to watch some elevation matches, oddly elevation was a little bit better than dark, which for the past couple of weeks seems to be the case, and I'm not sure why. Um so first off, Kevin Blackwood versus Danny Garcia. I'm actually happy that Daniel Garcia is back in wrestling now. I didn't I don't know what happened there, but he's back, which is great. Pretty good match. I was impressed by this Kevin Blackwood guy. I've never seen him before. But he it's weird. He wrestles like Garcia,
Mm-hmm.
but he also has some pretty some high flying moves as well. So it's
Mm-hmm.
very odd. I'm gonna say more akin to a Bryan Danielson, which is high praise, right? I'm not saying he's Bryan Danielson, but the match
Right.
is pretty good. They started off with a lot of mat wrestling, but then some really cool like kicks and stuff like that. It was really good. This
Mm-hmm.
Blackwood yeah, he had some really good combinations. Obviously, Garcia won. He won with this odd DDT, which almost looked like he was doing almost like DDT code breaker
Oh
combination.
yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what it was, but they called it a DDT, so yeah, he won it. Another match,
Oh,
it
hey,
was
I want to give you a
yeah.
quick little bit of trivia
Mhm,
information here.
mhm.
Interestingly, he was actually the tag team partner of one Daniel Garcia in a tag team called
Yes,
Black Death at one point, and also in a trios called the Buffalo Brothers with him.
yes, they were saying that they did mention that they actually came through the Buffalo system. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually know they were a tag team. That's cool.
Yep,
Uh,
there you go.
Uh, the next match, I'd say again, Elevation, the Dark Order versus Trustbusters. I mean, we know the Dark Order, Silver and Uno, and I guess it's only three of them now, right? And Reynolds, so
Mm-hmm.
that's it, really,
Yep.
for the Dark Order.
Well,
Versus
did you see being the elite with the
no,
recruitment angle?
I didn't, I didn't
Oh,
watch that. I didn't
they
watch
started
it.
talking about needing a 6'1"
Well, no, I'm
uh,
talking about when what's his face?
Colt Cabana,
What's the
and
heck's
then they
guy's?
walk past him.
Yeah. What the heck is his?
Oh, who's
Yeah.
that guy's name?
What is his name? Oh my God.
It's John something. Oh, John.
Yeah. What's his name? I guess what's I was about to call him Johnny Nitro. Oh my God, I went way back. I went to John Morrison. John
Yes,
Morrison,
John
right?
Moore. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Who's now being called Johnny Dark Order.
Johnny Dark Order. Yeah, because
Yes.
it's funny because what's his face? Cole Cabana walks out. I love how they're describing. He's like 6 foot. He's like they just walk right by him. Oh my God. Poor Colt.
Yep.
But yeah, no, you're right. You're right. So Dark Order versus Trustbusters. The Trustbusters are not bad, but you know what? They're just like a generic like bad group.
Hmm.
But no. It was a pretty good trio. Yeah, I guess it's a trios match. I
Hmm.
put down tag team, but it's a trios match.
Right.
Great combinations from the Dark Order. They seem to be working really well together. I will never get like again. This is I put down not a Young Bucks spot match, but good. And I put down, I'll never get tired of John Silver's hot tags. I think he has one
Hmm.
of the hottest hot tags there is. And yeah, good match. Obviously the Dark Order wins. I kind of would prefer to watch the Dark Order on Dynamite or Rampage, not on Elevation. But hey,
Yeah.
whatever. It is what it is. I guess we have too many people. One thing I took out of Elevation was Don Callis. So Takeshita was having an interview in the back
Hmm.
room, and first of all, the girl pronounced his name wrong. And Don Callis shows up and says, he says, he basically tells Takeshita, what you're doing. He's like, you lost against Bryan Danielson, but that's okay. That's understandable. He's like, you traveled all these places, you fought 3 matches, and he names out all the things Takeshita did, and
Hmm.
he's like, he goes, so that's why you lost to Danielson. He's like, you know who did that kind of stuff as well? Kenny Omega used to do that a lot, and then he got some advice from me. So he's like, all I'm telling you is, we can help you. Here's my card. And he walks away. I was like, and he says something. He says something in Japanese, and as he's walking, you hear him say, "That was Japanese." And he walks away. I'm like, of course. Don Callis is friggin' hilarious. I love Don Callis.
Yep.
So yeah, this recruitment angle on Takeshita.
Mhm.
Oh, that's that. Oh, I could.
Love it.
I love it.
Yep.
If you're looking for a comedy match, Bill, if you're looking for a comedy match,
I like comedy matches.
the Wingmen and Luther and Sir Pentico were against Matt Hardy, Isaiah Cassidy, Ethan Page, and Brandon Cutler, your boy.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
I
Cutler
think...
is just a clown. He's always just been a clown. Oddly, Matt Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy working really well together as a tag team. It's very like their combination's been really, really well. The funny is I still laugh every time they play the Hardy Boys music and Isaiah Cassidy comes out dancing to it. He looks so ridiculous, but it's so funny. For some reason, Ethan Page had a mic in his hand throughout this match. It was funny in some points, but it was annoying in other points. Like at one point where I think Cassidy got pushed into the corner and they're beating up, and the ref came over and was stopping Ethan Page. He's like, I'm literally telling you to turn around, and he's saying it on the mic. So that was kind of funny. I think this was a match where like they won by. So you know how this is not the match. I'm just getting ahead of myself. So yeah, they won. The right team won here. So that was again comedy match. A match I want to bring up here and this is on Elevation as well. It featured Willie Mack, which you're probably going to hear about, versus Brian Cage. This Willie Mack guy, how do I describe him? He doesn't look like your normal wrestler. He's a bigger guy, but man, can this guy move? Holy. Remember when people used to say, oh, Bray Wyatt, he's like a tank with a Ferrari engine or something like that? They used to say something like that. This guy, the moves he does, Bill, this guy did a kip up and then did a moonsault on top of Brian Cage. I was like, what is happening right now? He did this kick, and I'm like, I think he took Brian Cage's head off. Like, it was insane. Absolutely insane. And of course, Brian Cage won the match. But imagine this guy, he did a frog splash from the top rope and landed on his feet because Brian Cage moved. I was like, what the hell is going? Willie Mack. What that name, he is good. And you know the funny thing is, on Dynamite last week, I noticed it. There was a sign in the audience that said Tony Khan sign Willie Mack, and I was like, who the heck is Willie Mack? And I'm like, this is Willie Mack. This guy is good. And the crowd was going insane for him. I was actually pretty impressed by that. So Willie Mack,
he's been around quite a while. Yeah, he was even in WWE very briefly.
Oh, well, whoever he was, he's good. He's really good.
He only made it a month. He was released before he even arrived in Orlando. They fired him because the medical test found something wrong with his blood pressure, apparently.
Oh, yeah, because he's not your typical wrestler.
Yeah. I knew I'd seen it. I knew the name before, and it was from Lucha Underground.
Oh,
he was on Lucha Underground for 3 years as well. And he's most recently wressling in Impact.
That explains a lot why he is that good.
He was the X Division champion from 2020 to 2022.
Oh, well, there you go. That explains a lot.
Yep.
So yeah, then another match. Not really the match itself. Athena just beat up an opponent, but then after she beat her up and was still attacking her, Yuna ran out. And here's the weird part. I don't know if the announcers didn't know who she was, right? Because it was Paul White and it was Daddy Magic, right? And they just kept saying, oh, look who it is. Look, it's her.
Yeah.
And they never said her name though. They're like, first it was Marina Shafir, and now look. And then the crowd started chanting her name. And I'm like, oh, okay. So apparently it's gonna be.
She's only one of the greatest female wrestlers in the face of the planet. That's all.
Understand?
If you don't know the name Yuka Sakazaki, you have problems.
Yeah. So they didn't say her name once. Not once did they say her name. So that was, I just wanted to give you that little tidbit there.
Yes, I watched that specifically because I knew it was Yuka Sakazaki's return. So I'm not missing her return. Right? So.
Yeah. The last one was the main event was pretty good. It was a 3-way tag match. So it was Top Flight versus Blackpool Combat Club versus the Butcher and Blade. Top Flight's getting really pushed here. They won again. They won again. Really good match. Like different styles clashing here, right? You have the
Mhm.
high flying top flight. You have the really like kind of like powerhouse in the Butcher and like the Blade. Like it's funny, the Butcher and Blade
Mhm.
versus the Blackpool Combat Club, which they actually faced each other on Dark. Was the same thing. Good match. Like, right,
Right.
really good styles that are clashing. Like again, Castiglione is once again pound for pound the strongest wrestler that there is. Like he's so strong. This stuff this guy
Mhm.
does. But yeah, that was quickly. That was the Elevation recap. Um, on AEW Dark, again, not tons of stuff to watch here. You could, I'm gonna point out, you could watch Sammy and Garcia match. It's pretty much a squash match. It's pretty hilarious too, because Sammy fully plays up the heel, and Garcia always just looks confused. But these guys are so technically sound. Like Garcia is
Mhm.
perfect. Sammy is flawless. Like this guy, I swear to God, he's so good. So yeah, really good match. Again, if you didn't want to watch the three-way tag, you can watch the Butcher and the Blade versus Claudio and Yuta. Fun match again. Yuta, you know, I see the passion in him, right? And
Mhm.
they were doing this crab walk thing where they were kind of like sliding back and forth in the ring afterwards. I'm like, are they trying to add some personality to these two after they won? But it was actually kind of funny because Excalibur called it out. And I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, they're crab walking. And yeah, and so Dark. Yeah, I said put down crab walks. Sure.
Mhm.
And then yeah, or so then on Rampage, here's some things that happen on Rampage. Ortiz came out upset with Kingston. We know the whole thing. Apparently,
Mhm.
the Dark Order is the reason for them falling apart. But Ortiz was really mad about the fact that Kingston was about to hit a woman. Clearly, he didn't watch the replay because Kingston clearly didn't know it was the bunny behind him.
Mhm.
He didn't hit her either.
Right.
And Ortiz like called him out and said, "No, first of all, Kingston walked out with a chair." But he acted as if he's like, no, let's go talk in the back. Like, no,
Mhm.
I don't want to talk in front of these people. And he's
Right.
like, now you. But then Ortiz said, how dare you? Your mother didn't raise you like this. Your father didn't. So then Kingston just snapped and just hit him with the chair. I'm like, what did you think was gonna happen? So apparently they're gonna fight eventually.
Mhm.
Um, again, Willie Mack versus Brian Cage part two, right?
Yep.
If Brian Cage, I think this was a proof that he was ready to face off against Danielson this week. But
Mhm.
again, he won. But Willie Mack with another great showing. This guy, holy cow! Andretti versus Garcia, good match. Kind of
Mhm.
standard from Andretti. Now I'm kind of seeing this. I'm like, okay, he's really good. He works well, though he almost missed his little finisher, and I was like, you almost landed on your face, but you really didn't. Like, don't be John
Yeah.
Morrison. Don't be John Morrison. So that was a pretty good match. It's the funny parts was Garcia wearing his new gear. He was wearing his leather
Leather
pants and it
pants.
kept falling, so he kept pulling it up. So that was actually kind of funny. And this is the match I was talking about: Jungle Boy versus Ethan Page. It was okay. Like I do like the fact they play up Ethan Page being like a powerhouse. I like when he pops the guys up and like power slams them. Like, no, that's such a cool
Mhm.
move. Jungle Boy is awesome, but shenanigans, right? And the funny part was, so Jungle Boy won this match, but Jeff Hardy had his back turned to the ring, and Ethan Page, instead of grabbing the rope when he did the roll up, he grabbed Matt Hardy's hair and started pulling it for support. So Matt Hardy knocked it away, and then
Mhm.
Jungle Boy reversed the roll up onto him. I was like, what a stupid match. But it's just it's funny what Hardy and Cassidy and stuff are doing. So
Mhm.
I'm enjoying it. But yeah, that was my wrestling roundup. Again, guys, watch out for that Willie Mack guy.
Yep.
He's pretty good.
Did you see the backstage bit with the four guys there, Matt Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy and Brandon Cutler and
Yeah,
Ethan
was that
Page?
was that Elevation or was that Rampage?
Oh,
I think it was Elevation.
I think
They
it was
were
when
where
they did the
they
backstage thing.
yeah
It's like, I want to see you with the pep like
yeah
Brandon
yeah.
Cutler, and he's like spraying cans, and yeah. Oh
He's
my God, he's
dancing.
telling him
He
to be
was
more like
dancing to the
Brandon
Hardy Boys
Cutler.
music.
Oh yeah, no, that was just gold. I loved it. But anyway,
That's
cool.
it. That's my roundup.
Okay, there was a lot of good stuff on AEW this week.
Hmm.
That's good. Yeah, Willie Mack is pretty awesome. And with that, though, we shall now turn to Japan. where I've got a few matches that you might want to check out. Strangely, it is not just 3 Stardom matches this week. I actually have some stuff from New Japan. So, New Japan Strong. We had the New Japan Strong tag title defense as the main event this week, and it saw the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, taking on Roppongi Vice, Trent Beretta, and Rocky Romero in their first ever meeting between these 2 tag teams. The Motor City Machine Guns are also, as I mentioned earlier, the Impact Tag Champs. It was pretty funny in the beginning. Chris Sabin calls for the hug from Trent. So Chris Sabin's in the ring wanting to hug Trent. And of course, it was a roll-up trap, right? And as soon as Trent kicked out, Sabin goes to the corner and hugs Alex Shelley. So they did a lot of that kind of stuff where it was a bit of like back and forth and stuff. Motor City Machine Guns did some seriously nice double teams to Rocky Romero working over his knee. It included like a dragon screw by Sabin while Shelley was still holding him up.
Oh wow.
So like they dragon screwed the knee with the guy immobile. And then it ended in like figure fours, and Trent was pretty good on the hot tag until he got backdropped on the apron. Rocky had a cool spot where he had a rewind kick, but his knee was messed up. Like from all the work had been done, he ended up taking a wicked double team kick. Though, Rocky didn't really sell the knee that much after that. So, there was a little bit of, I was kind of like, Rocky, your knee got messed, dude. But Motor City Machine Guns, they reversed a dude buster attempt into a kick assisted Canadian destroyer that was really cool. They exchanged finishers too. Roppongi Vice hit Made in Detroit on Sabin, but Shelley saved, and then the Motor City Machine Guns hit Strong Zero on Rocky, but Trent made the save. But then like the match built, right? Like it started off kind of slow and then built to this crescendo, and at the end Motor City Machine Guns were just like, okay, we're done with you guys now. And then they did this insane number of double team combos to Trent and then Rocky that ended in Rocky eating a double power bomb for the 3. It was just like, okay, we're done with you now. Bang, 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 done. Yeah, it was pretty cool. So yeah, I'd recommend anyone checking that out. You can find New Japan Strong, of course, on New Japan World for a price much cheaper than almost all streaming services. New Japan, again, they had their New Beginning in Nagoya show this week, which featured as the main event. It was the King of Pro Wrestling title up for grabs between Shingo Takagi and the Great Okan. I'm not reviewing that match. Suffice to say, Shingo Takagi retained the King of Pro Wrestling title against the Great Okan. But the match I did enjoy a lot was the United Empire, Will Ospreay, Francesco Akira, and Aaron Hinare, taking on just 4 guys, Taichi, Doki, and Yoshinobu Kadamaru. Again, this is a setup match, right? So it's a setup match because Dookie and Kadamaru will likely be facing Catch 2-2 for the junior tag title soon, and Ospreay's next opponent is Taichi, right? So Ospreay and Taichi went at it immediately. Like Ospreay gets in the ring, starts jawing with him. They start fighting. Brawl breaks out between both teams, of course, right? And it ends in the ring though with Akira in the ring with Kadamaru, and Akira looked like he tweaked his knee on a springboard plancha to the outside, and he sold that a bit, but he seemed fine. I don't think he actually hurt it. The United Empire was just wrecking people outside again. Like Ospreay's coming in with this like aggressive persona, and it seems to be what he's doing. The announcers are constantly talking about, his last year, right? He's only got 1 year, and like Ospreay's fighting like it. Hinare is just a great powerhouse. But the star, of course, of the match was Will Ospreay, but he gave a ton. Like they Kadamaru and Doki working him over at one point. Like it was just like he was getting his ass handed to him for quite a while in this match, right? And then like they had some really cool double team moves on him. Doki's really good and took it to Ospreay with some great moves, kicks. But then out of nowhere, while he's working over Ospreay, Akira suddenly runs in the ring and does this like head scissors into a DDT that was it was so fast and so insane and just planted Dookie. And the minute Dookie gets his head up, out of nowhere, hidden blade from Ospreay from the corner and pins him. And I mean, it just killed him. It was like an absolute walloping with this hidden blade. So then Ospreay, of course, jawed with Taichi after the match, and he's now pinned Kadamaru and Doki. So, and the crowd seems to really love Ospreay. TJP returns tomorrow too for their next event in Korakuen Hall, so that's a good thing. My final match comes from Stardom, of course. I couldn't go an entire show without mentioning at least one Stardom match. So this one is a Triangle Derby match. Cosmic Angels this week they took on this was Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Saki taking on Rebel and Enemy, which is Ram Kaicho, Maya Yukihi, and Maika Ozaki in for it's one of the Triangle Tournament matches. Before the match, they had a little promo thing, and Saki is apparently very ready for the three-way dance and the match because Cosmic Angels do their three-way dance on the way down. Of course, it's very different than the one you've seen because now they're doing it to the Cosmic Angels theme music. It's a much faster dance.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah. The but anyway, the Cosmic Angels are hilarious. I love their over the top ridiculousness. Like seriously, I want them to have an alliance with the Best Friends one day because they would work together
That
so
makes
well.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The although I think the difference is those the best friends know that they're being like funny, but
Mhm.
it's yeah, I'm not so sure Cosmic Angels knows. um Maya Yukihi, by the way, is on my new must-watch list. She's not actually signed to Stardom, but she is absolutely amazing. She's wrestled for 8 years. She's a former two-time Ice 60 champion, five-time international ribbon tag team champion, and the one-time Triangle ribbon champion, making her that promotion's fourth Triple Crown champion. She works as a freelancer now in Stardom and with the Oz Academy. She's not a high flyer, but she works really fast. She can go off the top rope, but I mean, man, her strikes are insane, and she has really solid grappling skills. She actually graduated from Ferris University after finishing her studies in English and can speak 4 languages, which
Oh
is
wow.
kind of
Okay.
cool. So you never know. She gets popular enough, she may make her way over here for some matches too, which I would be totally down for because my God, can this woman wrestle? Um, anyway, they were Rebel and Enemy are really good. All three of the people in it are not Stardom wrestlers; they're all from the outside. Um, they took it to Cosmic Angels early on, working over poor Natsupoi, who seems to be getting the brunt of these every match right now. Like the 2 matches that Cosmic Angels has lost in the tournament have both
Mhm.
been Natsupoi losing the match.
Oh no.
So, and then she even in her promo at the start, she was like, I'm the one who lost the 2 matches, but then Tam came and saved me in the next one, and now we're winning and we're gonna win. I really want to get a pin, and she's just being so Natsupoi. I love Natsupoi. Anyway, so yeah, they work her over for quite a while. Ram absolutely slaughtered her with forearms from a mounted position, like slaughtered. She just kept going. It was like when Ospreay took down with Shota Umino in that one
Mhm.
match where he was just like pasting him with forearm after forearm. Like she just wouldn't stop till like the ref came up because then she went from the forearms into a blatant choke, like a two-handed down choke on her, and the ref finally interrupted it. Poor Natsupoi. Yeah, and then then Maya gave like a kick that would have made Shuri proud to Natsuboi's poor back. She managed to tag out. Oh, Saki does this cool move, like I've mentioned it before. She has like a Boston Crab, and then she picks up the person's arms from the other side while keeping the legs trapped, and then picks them up off the ground, and then swings them back and forth while still in a Boston
Oh
Crab
wow.
position, but they're being like lifted. It's like a rocking chair Boston Crab. I don't know what you actually call this move, but my God, is it cool. Um, you know, anyway, so Tam nailed Ozaki though eventually with the violet shooting against the rope, sending her outside. She got put in a torture wrap though, and then all three did moves to her, forcing Natsupoi to interrupt the pin. Tam fought out of what looked like an air raid crash attempt with a crucifix style submission that was really cool. Ozaki took a triple drop kick and then a violet shooting from Tam for a near fall. Then you had a Ram Codebreaker, Maya Roundhouse, and Ozaki Lariat all on Tam at the same time until the pin was interrupted. But then the match got chaotic. This is kind of how it ended. Everybody was like piling in, doing moves, blah, blah, a bit of a waterfall thing going on. But after they cleared, Tam was left with Ozaki, and she tried the Twilight Dream, which is a variation of a tiger suplex, but Ozaki got free. But then she nailed her with a roundhouse kick that was just vicious, and then put the tiger suplex on her and got the 3 with a bridge. And it was a really good match. I really enjoyed this match an awful lot. And Tam once again gets the pin for the Cosmic Angels and closes the show with a very feisty promo. So good stuff from her. So those were my 3 matches that I think people might want to check out this week from Japan.
Nice. Nice. Yeah.
Yep. So that brings us then to our match of the week.
Match of the week. Okay. Okay. So I think my match of the week is still gonna be the match from Dynamite. So it's gonna be
Which match from Dynamite? They
oh
had 3 good
uh
matches from Dynamite.
the Darby Allin versus what's his name?
Kushida.
Kushida. Yeah. Such again, I had never seen Kushida wrestle, and he really impressed me this week and against Darby. Such a cool match, and yeah, still match of the week for me.
Okay, nice. My match of the week is the match I picked as match of the night from that, which is Bryan Danielson
Nice.
taking on. Why is my brain suddenly
Yeah,
going
I couldn't
silent?
remember. It was Bryan Danielson versus um
Oh, Bandito.
yeah,
Come on,
Benito.
Bill. I
Yes,
knew it was a great match. Jesus,
Bandito.
man. Sometimes my brain just don't work so good, people. And I do not have any excuses either. So it just doesn't. Okay, but we're gonna have a real quick game. I realize we're going long on this one. We had a lot to talk about. We're gonna have a real quick game of Guess the Stars.
Okay.
So Meltzer star ratings on those 3 matches. Young Bucks taking on Top Flight. We had Bandito versus Danielson, and we had Kushida versus Darby Allin.
So I'm gonna
Guess the
say
stars.
yeah, I'm gonna say that he gave Kushida versus Kushida versus Allen. He gave 4.25 stars.
So what I gave it.
Yeah, is that
Okay.
what is that
That's what
okay?
I gave it. Yeah.
Okay. I
But no,
think
it's
I
not right. That's not what Meltzer
oh
gave it.
okay.
But go on.
I'm
I'll
gonna
give you the
say
answers at the end.
I'm gonna say he gave the Danielson match 5 stars.
Okay.
I'm gonna say he gave the Top Flight and Bucks match 4.5 stars.
You are wrong on all 3 of
Oh
them. You have
damn.
failed to
All
guess the
right. Wow.
stars.
Dave, Uncle Dave, I just don't get it,
Yep.
man. I don't get your star rating
Yeah,
like
I think
everyone
I've caught
else.
on to it though, because I gave these matches 4.25 stars for the
Mhm,
Kushida match.
mhm.
4.5 stars is what I gave Danielson and Bandito. And I gave 4 stars to the Young Bucks match. I was right on 2 out of 3. The Young Bucks match, he gave four
Oh,
stars.
okay.
Danielson and Bandito, he gave 4.5 stars.
Okay.
And the only one I got wrong was Darby Allin versus Kushida, which he gave 4 stars.
Oh, interesting. The lowest out of all of them, eh? Okay.
No, it tied with the Young Bucks
Oh,
match.
the one was yeah, it's was at 4. Never mind.
Yep.
Okay.
They
All
also
right.
had 4. So he went 4.5, 4, and 4.
4 and 4.
Yep.
Okay.
So there you go.
All right.
Yep. But anyway, your match of the week, Kushida and Darby Allin. My match of the week, Danielson and Bandito. Apologies to Bandito for forgetting his name. And that brings us to our wrestler of the week.
So I was thinking about rest of the week, and I was like, I could give it to Kushida, give it to Allen. Heck, I can give it to Willie Mack. Yo, this guy really impressed me this week. But after everything that's happened last week, I mean, I couldn't not give it to Jay Briscoe. So I'm gonna give Jay Briscoe my wrestler of the week, just because like, you know, I've now discovered the Briscoes after everything, and yeah, just that's it. Jay Briscoe is my wrestler of the week.
So now if I pick anyone else, I'm just an asshole, right?
I didn't want to go. I wanted to go last, and I probably should have went last on that one. But I'm just saying that there is nobody else to
Well,
pick.
I can't disagree with that logic now. So I am good. If I had to pick someone who I actually watched a match from this week, I would probably go with Bryan Danielson. But I'm not going to sit here now and say, oh no, forget Jay Briscoe. I'm going to go with Bryan Danielson. So no, I'm also going to say that my wrestler of the week, because he really was awesome and gave me one of those, as I said on Wednesday, one of those moments where it was like, oh my God, wrestling outside of the WWE is freaking amazing, when he beat Michael Elgin for the Ring of Honor title for his second run with that championship, just a few feet in front of me, which was very cool. Yeah, I'm going to make him, I maybe, what is that now? Almost 9 years, 8.5 years after I saw that match, I will make him my wrestler of the week.
Wow.
So there we go.
There you go. There you
Well,
go.
we have yacked at these poor people long enough. Um, so, but we did have an awful lot to talk about. We hope
Mhm.
you've enjoyed the show. Like we said, if you do enjoy it, leave us a review, give us 5 stars. We'd appreciate it. But we will be back on Wednesday. For now, though, as the great one always says, goodbye, everybody. Mwah! And good night. Bang.
Good night, everyone.